Arirang News on this Tuesday, May 12th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Shin Se-min. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at this hour. COVID-19 is still too powerful for life to get back to normal. Countries that have eased restrictions have seen the number of new cases jump. And the World Health Organization says, however, that countries like South Korea, China, and Germany have systems in place to counteract any surge. More people are losing jobs and companies are reluctant to hire amid this unprecedented epidemic. And the record number of Koreans filed for unemployment benefits in April. Plus, the White House is battling out with its own coronavirus cases. U.S. President Donald Trump and VP Pence will be maintaining their distance for now, but encourage the country to reopen. Our starting point this morning, the COVID-19 pandemic has taken an enormous toll on workers here in South Korea. Things have gotten so bad that a record number of people here in the nation filed for unemployment benefits in April. Our Kim Hyo-sun reports.
South Korea is facing an employment crisis as companies are reluctant to hire and more workers are being laid off amid the continued COVID-19 outbreak. Companies are reluctant to hire, while more workers are being laid off.
The number of new subscribers to employment insurance continues to drop compared to the increase in the number of non-eligible people. It implies companies are not hiring as they've shut their business temporarily or put employees on leave.
In April, a record amount of unemployment benefits were paid out, marking a whopping 34.6% increase compared to the same month last year. Some $820 million was paid out just last month, due largely to the negative economic impact of the outbreak. April marked the third consecutive month the figure reached a new record.
The number of applicants and the size of the unemployment benefits are expected to increase further.
Many people have lost jobs not only in the manufacturing sector, which is the backbone of South Korea's economy, but also in sectors like tourism and retail. Since such figures do not include self-employed people, workers in special employment, and freelancers who are not covered by employment insurance, the actual impact of COVID-19 is likely even more severe than the figures suggest. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
Despite the prolonged COVID-19 pandemic, many pundits expect a swoosh-shaped recovery for the global economy. Named after the Nike logo, the shape depicts a large drop followed by a painfully slow recovery. According to the Wall Street Journal on Monday, the economists of many Western countries, including the U.S. and those in Europe, will not be able to bounce back to 2019 levels of output until late next year or even after that. Now, this grim outlook reflects the depth of contraction recorded in the spring, as well as soaring unemployment rates. The possibility of a second wave of COVID-19 in the fall or winter has also prompted some analysts to warn of more potential setbacks as well. Back here in the nation, South Korean government announced its fifth postponement of the school year on Monday, pushing all grades to return to school 1 week later than previously promised. Now, the latest delay to the school year, largely due to a recent cluster of new infections that erupted from nightclubs in central Seoul. Our Kim Dami explains.
The much-anticipated spring semester has been delayed yet again because of the cluster infection from clubs in Itaewon. The fifth delay comes just 2 days before the semester was supposed to start for some high school students here in the nation. After holding an emergency meeting with the health authorities Monday afternoon via teleconference, the Education Ministry said the delay was unavoidable.
There is a great deal of concern over the control of the virus now that infected people have spread out across the country. In order to protect our students' safety, there was no choice but to postpone the high school spring semester until May 20th.
All other students are pushed back a week too. May 27th will be the start date for high schoolers in their second year, third year middle schoolers, first and second grade elementary school students, and kindergartners. The next date after that is June 3rd. That's for freshmen in high school, middle schoolers in their second year, and third and fourth year elementary school students. The final start date is June 8th, which is for first-year middle school students and 5th and 6th-year elementary schoolers. South Korea's college entrance exam, known as 수능, will proceed as planned on December 3rd. The Education Ministry also urged any teachers who went to Itaewon between April 24th and May 6th to get tested for the virus, whether or not they have symptoms. Kim Da-mi, Arirang News.
There are a handful of countries around the world that had largely contained COVID-19 outbreak and decided to try and return to a certain degree of normalcy. However, attempting to go back to life as we knew it pre-virus seems more complicated and risky than many had expected. Our Kim Do-yeon with the details.
While people are looking forward to going back to their normal lives after COVID-19, it seems it'll be harder than anyone expected. Some countries that flattened the curve and eased lockdowns are already feeling the threat of possible second wave infections. For example, South Korea gained international praise for its response to COVID-19, seeing its number of local infections drop to 0 for a period of time. However, as the country eased measures to distancing in daily life from social distancing, people flooded onto the streets, leading to an explosion of cases stemming from a number of nightclubs in Itaewon, a popular nightlife district in Seoul. Confirmed cases linked to that case alone is likely to surpass 100. Germany, which has the 7th most confirmed cases in the world, eased its lockdown recently as it saw its COVID-19 reproduction rate, or R rate, drop below 0.7. However, after the lockdown was eased, the R rate jumped back above 1.0, which is what experts call a tipping point in controlling infectious diseases. In another instance, Wuhan, the Chinese city where the first case of COVID-19 was reported, saw a cluster of cases a month after reopening. The city reported 5 new cases, all from the same residential area. As these instances were reported, the WHO emphasized the complexity of reopening economies at this stage.
To protect lives and livelihoods, a slow, steady lifting of lockdowns is key to both stimulating economies while also keeping a vigilant eye on the virus so that control measures can be quickly implemented if an upswing in cases is identified.
While the cases are alarming, the WHO says it's confident the affected countries have the right system in place to control the uptick in cases. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
The top diplomats of 7 countries, including South Korea, the U.S., and Japan, have discussed COVID-19 related cooperation via video conference. According to the U.S. State Department on Monday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo discussed the importance of international cooperation, transparency, and accountability in fighting the pandemic and in addressing its causes. He said there needs to be collaboration towards preventing a future global health crisis. Now, the readout also suggests that China's response was the top concern during the video conference. During the call, Pompeo also thanked South Korea for its close cooperation and information sharing and reaffirmed the strength of their ties. White House advisor Peter Navarro has threatened retaliation against China for its role in the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. In an interview with CNBC on Monday local time, Navarro says a bill has to come due for China, adding Beijing must be held accountable. He said the pandemic has cost the U.S. nearly $10 trillion. Navarro, one of President Trump's key trade advisors on China, declined to say whether he was advising the president to impose new tariffs on China or scrap the Phase 1 trade deal they reached earlier this year. Now, few of the staffers at the White House has recently been infected with COVID-19 virus, raising concerns among President Trump's inner circle. While stringent measures are being taken to prevent further transmissions, reports say many White House staffers are afraid to go to work. Our Lee Seung-jae with more.
After one of President Trump's valets was confirmed to have been infected with COVID-19, reports have come out that Vice President Mike Pence's press secretary Katie Miller was also infected. The White House has been ramping up testing on all senior officials at the White House, and those who come into contact with the president are tested on a daily basis. To prevent further spread, many White House staff members have been instructed to work remotely. However, concerns have been raised over the White House's measures to trace the source of the virus, as they had not identified who Miller contracted the virus from as of Sunday, raising concerns about how to contain the outbreak. According to CNN, some staff members expressed concern about the clarity of measures, as some officials who had extended contact with Miller announced they would self-quarantine, while others who had similar contact with her did not. This also includes members of the White House COVID-19 task force, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is considered to be a low-risk contact and will be placed in self-quarantine. However, Vice President Mike Pence will not be placed into self-quarantine and will resume work at the White House. Another issue being raised is the White House's guidelines, which does not require staff members to wear a face mask. This includes President Trump, who has been seen without a face mask at numerous outdoor events. While Trump explained that everyone who works besides him are wearing masks, reports say otherwise. The lack of measures against the virus within the White House is causing concerns among the staff, as reports say some prefer to work remotely. 이승재, Arirang News.
Starting at Wednesday this week, which is tomorrow, all passengers on crowded subway trains in capital Seoul are required to wear a protective face mask as a measure to stem the further spread of COVID-19 outbreak. People without a mask can buy one at the station. The rule comes as Seoul Metropolitan Government announced Monday that it is expanding its distancing and daily life measure to include the use of public transport. Once carriages within the train reach over 150% of the recommended quota and are classed as congested, people will be asked to put on masks and further boarding will be restricted. For the busiest lines, including the lines 2, 4, and 6, extra trains will run during rush hour and buses will run more frequently. Shifting focus, a U.S. congressman says the United States should cooperate with North Korea's regional actors, including South Korea, China, and Japan, on security-related concerns. Now, this coming from a representative, Jared Connolly, who wrote in a piece for the American news outlet The Hill titled "Our North Korea Quandary: There is Instability in Our Future." He says North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's recent disappearance serves as an important reminder about the general lack of knowledge about the regime. He also stressed that the biggest concern to regional security is North Korea's nuclear arsenal stockpile, estimated to range between 20 to 80 warheads.
Good morning. Sadly, wherever you are in the country, you will not be able to escape from the toxic dust. Smog from outside Korea will choke the entire nation, with the fine dust reaching very bad levels in the capital area and Chungcheongnam-do province. But you can dress lighter if you're in the east of the country. It's going to be as warm as yesterday, with highs hovering in the mid to upper 20s in the afternoon, while those of us in the west will have a breezier day with highs hovering below the seasonal norms all day today. So Seoul will get up to 19 degrees Celsius this afternoon, Gyeongju topping out at 26 degrees. While sunny skies are in store, but the skyline will be hidden by the smog, while winds will pick up in the central regions and coastal areas from the afternoon. And actually, we'll see big temperature swings this week, and there's nationwide rain in the forecast for Friday, which could linger into early Saturday. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
And that's our time at this hour on Arirang News. As always, thanks for watching.